Good morning, everyone. This is Vicki, and I wanted to come on and show you what I've been up to this past week. So I was watching some videos that were recommended by YouTube, and I came across a channel that I really enjoyed watching, and this is her name, Johanna Clough. She has a lot of really nice tutorials and some things I'm interested in. Mostly journals though, which I don't do, but I like some of the other things that catches my eye, like this. And so she did a quilt, a patchwork type of quilt card, and she did a tutorial, and I'll link that below. And so I had forgotten about how the tutorial went. I didn't watch it, and so I made this one from what I remembered. And this is a 6x6. I think this is an envelope. Is it an envelope? No, it's not an envelope. But it's just a piece of cardstock that I started it on. I cut out this the cardstock from this stack. I'll show you in a second, which I believe it's from my friend Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. I think she gave this to me. You can correct me. But I came across this and I like the pastels, and so I cut them up in squares of, I think these are 1.5 inches, which the lady I followed, it's a little bit bigger than 1.5 inches. No, it's almost 1.5 inches. Yeah, it is 1.5 inches, and she used 1 inch. But anyway, I didn't remember, and I just cut these up and put it on this because it fit a 6x6, right? So anyway, if you count the squares up, you get 6x6, I believe. So there you go. So I came up with this, and then I did her tutorial. She sewed it, zigzagged it, and then she embossed it. So I used my embossing folder on it also, and then I made it into kind of an envelope, see, and put kind of overlap from the hearts I was making, and then this goes in there. Your note will go in here. So that was the first one that I made, and then I went back to her tutorial and realized that she used 1 inch. So then I came up with these. So this one is the farmhouse paper pad that I found in my stash, and it's this one that I showed before, and it had these 1 inch squares, which second. So it was like this. I copied this because I only had one sheet left, and I cut up the 1 inch, these 1 inch squares, and then I pieced it on here. And I wanted to try a different route of sewing, so I did do zigzag on the outside, and then just a straight stitch in between. I did it on both sides, because when you quilt, you do quilt by hand. You do this quilting. You can do it on each square, or either way. So I did do that. And so I thought it came out, nice. It's different. But I didn't include the faces because I don't know. I don't like faces on people I don't know. So anyway, I did that one. And I used the coordinating, cardstock that's in the paper pad. So this paper here is part of that stack. So I did that one, and I used file folder. See, you can tell here an old that I had in my stash. It was just kind of sitting there, so I cut them up and I used that for this. Then I decided to do the cross stitching. See how it's going to crisscross across it, and had done the zigzag on just on the edges. So I did it that way to see if I liked that better. I liked it equally the same, and I did another one like this. And see, this is not a real photo person, it's like a painted photo. So I didn't mind using that one, but I did like to use these little illustrated drawings on it too. So I just use those on these. And I used it this size, I cut it down because on this one, you noticed I spaced it because on quilting, some of the ones have, spaces in between of different fabric, and some don't. So that's why I did these this way. But my actual reason for this size of a card was to use up these envelopes. These are vellum envelopes. They're really nice, but they're the same as the large ones that I used on the large three-fold envelopes on the large one. But I have like 1,000 of these, so I wanted to use them up anyway. So that's what I did with these cards. And just, you can see how I just did a simple embellishment on them. I did make a little tag on the extra ones I had left, and then 6 of them, and then I used one for this little enclosure. So that one I put something, backed it with paper, and this one I backed it also with paper, and then you can see the embossing in that one. I think in these I didn't do the backing of this. I think I did it on a card and put the card, this size card, on top of the file folder card. So that's what I did with these. Yeah. So inside it's all, you can write on the whole thing. Okay, so then I always have to take it to the next level. So that was like a little tiny set of those. And then I decided I was going to make my mom a card because I had the 3, this for her already, and then put the photos in here. And then I wanted to make her a card. So I made this card. So it's the same size to fit that envelope, that I have. Same size as this, but I decided I like this format better. This together rather than apart. And so I use this, and I decided to use just one paper, which is the napkin, this napkin, and cut them up, and then I used the dictionary pieces of paper, and I backed it with some lace first, and then sewed the actual cardstock, the pink. I layered it already, and then sewed this portion first, and then put this on top of this card. So inside it will look like this because I decided it was sewn on this. I sewed it on here, and so I covered this backing with some of that napkin, and just put pieces of it on this paper that I used. And this paper is just cardstock I had in my stash, and it does have some pieces of, I don't know what they use, but you know, there's little pieces of other colors. And when I had bought this, it's just stuff I had for a long time. And then on the envelope, I put another piece of that a napkin on there. So that's how this one came out, and that'll be for my mom to give her tomorrow. And then the next one I made was this, and I used this napkin for this. And so I just cut it up the same way, use the same pattern of using the dictionary page. They had some little illustrations, so I put that in there, cut that up. And these I just zigzagged it on all, this way and this way, and the larger zigzag on the outside. This one I didn't emboss, so this is what it looks like if you don't emboss it. And then I covered, so you can see the sewing, and then I put the napkin over that with glue stick. I found this glue stick that's pretty good. I like this one, the Scotch, and I got this at Joann's. I tried different ones. This one seems to be too thick for me for the napkins. Just is harder to use. I like it when it's really creamy. So anyway, this is this one, and this is what this envelope looks like. I didn't do all the envelopes like that, but I did do those. Okay, and then the third one I made was this one. And you can see I just, did the same thing for this one. And I used, I used this napkin. And I just cut up the pieces of napkins just so that these are just two, rather than with this one, it's different kinds. And what Johanna does is she uses fabric and paper. So my fabric is downstairs, so I didn't use it. But on this one, you can see there's frayed edges, and that's where I use that the sling fabric, and I just cut it and frayed it. So I put that down first, and then I put this down, and then I sewed it. You know, when I pieced it together, I used the double stick tape that's repositionable, and I'm looking at my table. I don't see it where I have one, but here it is. I used this, so when I stuck it down, I think she glues everything down with liquid glue, but I used this first and positioned everything, and then I took it to the machine and sewed it on the whole card for these. So each time I just did it differently, but after this one, I decided I was going to make the rest of them cardstock first, and then this is the next one I made. And this one this paper here is from Hobby Lobby, and on the reverse of this print is this. So I decided to incorporate that, and then use a few dictionary pieces on there, and use that fabric again, frayed fabric, on this also. And then I stuck it on here, and then I did the rest of them, and then took all of them to the sewing machine. So it was a lot easier to assembly line it. And so on this one, I just did it this way to cover the backing. So that's what that one looks like. And on the next one, this is tissue paper that you've seen me use before, or maybe not, I don't remember, on those other three-folded envelope, tri-fold envelope project I did. But you can use tissue paper as well, and as you can see, this is the tissue paper. And I like the ones that are kind of see-through. They work the best on the paper. So I just did this, the whole paper, I just cut it up. And what you do is you can just get your cardstock, and then use your glue, the glue stick on here, and then put your paper down. And then I cut out pieces of 1 inch on these different ones. Then you piece it on here together. On another cardstock, if you want this little ridge here of a liner, kind of pops it forward. And then I stick the whole thing on a card and sew it. So then what this one looks like on here is like this, and you can see the sewing in the back. And then I just put that whole napkin on there with a glue stick, and then I put another piece on here, and then I can write my sentiment there. And that's all I did. Of course, I did distress all of these except for one, and it's the last one I made. Because I didn't do that because this looks a little fresher. I just wanted to see what it looked like with a little fresher look, so it's not distressed at all. I did it the same way. This one is using this napkin, and then putting it on here like this, and then cutting the squares, 1-inch squares, and then piecing it together on this pink cardstock. And then I put the whole thing onto the card, and then sewed it zigzag. I did all these the same way, these last few ones. Yeah, I put this tulle on here as well. And then this is what the back looks like, and it's kind of pretty because you can see through it. You can see all the stitching, and you can see the embossing. So these are the different embossing folders I used. 3, I think, of them, different ones. But that's what that last one looks like, and it came out just as cute, I think, without the distress. But I'll just show you some of the embossing folders I used. This one I had already. It's the Spellbinders, and I think that if you get the Anna Griffin ones, they're bigger, the Cuttlebug ones, but these fit exactly onto this, for this card, this size card. And then I recently bought this one, which is similar but without the little, I think on these there's that one boxy looking flower. Makes it look a little more contemporary. And then this one is more of a flourish, more like this napkin, which is English looking, like I forgot his name, Morris. So I wanted to use that for the different kinds of paper to have it look a little different. And this is even more contemporary looking, which I used it with this last one, if you can see. So I used that one, and I got these on Spellbinder's site. I think they were on sale right now. And then one, maybe I didn't use that one. There's another one. Oh, this one. Okay, so this one looks a little different. I didn't emboss it very deeply, and so but this is the one that and I had another idea to use this one. It's a double wedding ring style of quilting. So I have another idea. I don't know whether I will pursue it. This is what it looks like. But I love this quilt. And I don't know. We'll see. I might have gone through the whole, if you notice, I go through one project and then duplicate it, change it, and just really get into it. Push the envelope, so to speak. of that project, and I might have gotten to the point where I'm done because I'm a little bit getting bored with it before I even got to the fabric part. So, yeah, I don't know. I did quilting in the past and really enjoyed it, but because I was living in Virginia at the time and delve into culture and history and stuff, and so I did a lot of that at that time. And then I'm seeing back into the quilting scene again because it pulls me into crafting because I have that in my past and something I enjoyed then. So I'm learning more things about my present from my past and mixing up, things together now, and which I really enjoy. I just really enjoy that. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you that part, this project, and hope you enjoyed this. And do check out Johanna Clough's channel. She has really beautiful items and she presents it really well. She's a very good teacher. And I will talk to you in the next video. Bye bye and happy Mother's Day.